Okay guys, so today I wanted to go over how to take your measurements. Now, I think a good place to start is, why do we take measurements in the first place? So, we take measurements just as a way to track and measure change. That's it. So just like you're taking your body weight, just like you took progress photos, taking weekly measurements is just another way for us to measure change. Okay? The more measures we have in place, the better idea we have of how you're progressing. So you should be weighing in daily. You should take your photos before and after the 10 weeks. And every week, you should be taking your measurements for the first 10 weeks anyway. So before I get into showing you how to take each measurement, I'm going to show you quickly just a few points. Just bring you over here. No fancy edits or cuts around here. So you're going to need a retractable tape measure. So one of these, probably not the specific one because this is quite an overpriced steel one, but I will put a link to the one I think you should get. They're pretty cheap, and it's retractable and it goes back into itself, so it makes taking measurements a whole lot easier. So get yourself one of those. And some other points to consider are, when you're taking measurements, especially on your torso, let me just bring you back out here. You want to make sure that, say we're doing chest, that you take it on the breath out. Okay, because if I breathe in, as you can see, it's going to change the measurements quite drastically. So make sure your breath is in when you actually take the final reading or measurement, okay? So breath out. Snug, not too tight. So when you take a measurement, you don't want to be like constricting yourself, okay? It should be not loose, not too tight, somewhere in between. I call it snug. So keep that in mind. And then all of these sort of tie into the final point, which is you need to have consistency when you take your measurements. Otherwise your data is going to be skewed and ultimately worthless. So you need to do the measurements the same way every time. So that includes breathing out every time. That includes using the same tape measure every time. That includes going snug and not too tight. And it also means doing it in the exact same location, which I'm going to show you now. So consistency is king when it comes to measurements. It's the same thing with body weight. You know how I always get you to measure in the morning, before the bathroom, naked, before you've eaten, just so we can standardize the measure. Okay, how do we do them? So I'm going to go over shoulders, chest, arms or arm, waist, hips, and thigh, okay? Those are, there's more, you can do more, but those give you a good spread over your body. It's probably you don't need to be doing any more. So for your shoulders, you want to be using these points here, okay? So ideally you want to line the tape measure up with these points on the front and the back. Now obviously you can't see the back, but generally if you're on point at the front, you're going to be on point at the back as long as your tape measure is level. Now again, breathe out. And that's where you take your measurement. Okay? So that shoulders, chest is going to go under the arms. Okay? Now what you use to do this is you line it up through your nipple line. Now I'm not going to show you my nipples, guys. You know, they're pretty hairy, so you probably don't want to be seeing those. But through your nipple line, and breath out, and that's your measurement. Cool. So that's shoulders and chest. Arm, you want to make a loop, and then you're going to put your arm through here, and you want to find the biggest part of your arm to take the measurement. So what you're going to have to do is, you know, do a bit of an Arnold flex, find the biggest point or the most prominent point, and then that is where you take your measurement. once you've got the peak, then relax and take it. Okay, so that's your arm. Waist is going to be through the belly button. So through the middle of your belly button. Make sure the tape is level and not skewed. Breath out. And that's your waist circumference. Glutes is similar to arm. You want to take the most prominent part. Hips is another way to say glutes, okay, in this context anyway. So find the most prominent part of your glutes, and then that's your measurement. And finally, let me just bring you down. Boom. You're going to do your quads. So the best way to do this is get your pinky finger, put it into your kneecap, okay? You're going to do a hang 10 sign, basically. And where your thumb ends up, that is where you take the measurement. Now, you might find a better way, but whatever way you do it, just make sure you do it the same every single time. Remember, consistency is super important when you're taking measurements. So anyway guys, that's how you take measurements. Let me know if you've got any questions, and I'll see you in the group. Cheers.